Hello everyone and welcome in to today's edition of Coach on a Couch. We're joined with Coach John Schurk of the Pacelli Cardinals boys basketball team. And Coach, thanks for joining us here today first of all. And I guess the first question I'll ask is just, could you give us a little bit of background on your background in coaching, where you came from, and your time here at Pacelli as well?
Yeah, this will be my fourth season at Pacelli, and prior to this I spent 8 seasons actually with the Splash program, with under Scott Anderson, who's one of the JV coaches. And you learned a lot, with Scott Anderson, Dave Hauser, they're very knowledgeable at the game and very successful. So it was a good experience to get my feet wet, and from there I felt like I wanted to go on. I felt like I wanted to take the next level and have the challenge of a varsity group. And luckily Pacelli came open, and I was able to get the job. So yeah, it's been a good 3 years, going on my 4th year.
All right, and then before we get into this year's team, let's just talk briefly about last year's team, what you guys did last year. Had a pretty nice season last year, lost in regionals. I guess talk about, a little bit of last year's team, what you're maybe trying to build off of, or I guess just last year in general before we get into this.
Well, last year was a good group of kids. I mean, we had some good athletes. They were a lot of good athletes. So we're fortunate now we have what I call more basketball athletes. At this point, we have more kids that play more all year round. They're really involved. Their basketball IQ is pretty high. I'd say that's going to be the big difference between this year and last year. Last year, let's say we had good athletes, good kids, but maybe basketball wasn't number one on the radar. Besides Les McClellan, Les was probably the only one out of that group. And so this year we have more guys that are more bought in, as in they're there. They really want to accomplish something for the next 2, 3, 4 years, whatever they got left. So that's going to be the exciting portion of it, having guys that are really focused on this season.
All right, and then talking about some of those players, a young team you guys got coming into this season. Talked about it before, but talk. I mean, we covered your guys' season last year in that we were at a lot of those JV games. Seemed to have a lot of skilled players there in that freshman sophomore group. I guess what is your expectations for them, and I guess what's kind of your mindset with those guys coming into this year?
Well, we do, and those kids over the summer really improved. They've come a long ways. So we're excited to see the energy that they're bringing to practice already. It's been fun. Everyone's really bought in, and they're excited. You can tell just how we're playing. They're very excited about what we're doing. I think it's going to help. Now we are going to be young, so obviously I think we could see some up and downs, just with some experience issues. But for the most part, we'll be competitive, and our future's bright. It really is. But so this year we're going to focus on this year first, because we had a great group of seniors, great leadership. They're really taking the young guys under their wings and welcoming them. They know they need the young guys, and it's just a good group. They all get along.
All right, and then being a young team, are you obviously you still got expectations for this year, but are you expecting maybe a little bit of growing pains maybe at the start of the season in practice, maybe in the first few games, trying to get a lot of guys maybe haven't played a lot of varsity time necessarily?
Yeah, I think you'll see some nerves at first, but I think that's maybe more the nerves. When you're going to see the experience is probably going to come with some of these early season teams that are going to play, like Wittenberg and Iola and Shayocton. I think those are the teams that you're going to notice some of the ups and downs. For the most part, our guys are pretty confident individuals. They seem to really know what they need to do, and they don't get too shaken. So that's a portion. But experience means a lot. As you know, when you played at Allendale, there's a difference when you have someone playing for 3-4 years compared to someone coming in for 1 or 2 years. Mm-hmm. But I think we'll be okay. I really do. I think we'll be competitive, and I think we'll shock a few people, and hopefully we don't shock ourselves in the wrong way.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got a couple experienced guys come back. Bryson Catcher, to name one of them. I guess talk about what you expect out of those older guys. Are you expecting them to kind of help at least get those younger guys at least prepared for what the varsity level is like?
Yeah, that's what I could expect that they're going to do. They're really going to take the guys, and they're going to be that leadership to reel them back in. If the young guys do get a little frustrated or a little down on themselves if they're struggling, I do expect those other guys will be able to reel them back in, bring up the confidence, encourage, and kind of be a little more like the glue guy, that really can keep the team together, and that's what that varsity group is going to be really good at.
All right, and then you talked about trying to surprise some people this year, I guess. So let's talk about the conference this season here in the South. I guess have you laid out expectations to the team yet? I guess concrete goals you guys might have as far as conference or playoffs, anything like that coming into this season?
Well, I guess every year's conference, right? But I think the number one goal for any coach and is always to win state, right? And I was not saying that we're to that point yet, but that's always our goal, is to get there. If it's this year, next year, whatever it is, every year we want to have it on our radar, even if it doesn't happen. Conference-wise, yeah, conference is nice. That's something that we would like to strive for every year, but we're looking beyond that as well. So we know the real prize is beyond that. This year, we were fortunate enough to catch some attention with our conference, and we're picked to win conference. But we talked about it to the boys. It's nice to get the recognition, but at the same time, until we actually prove it, it doesn't really mean anything. You actually have to accomplish it first.
All right, and then are there any, so far in practice this year, any players that are maybe standing out to you that you think are really maybe some of those young guys that are going to be able to step up and give you some big minutes? We know Fox last year for you guys was a freshman and it made a big impact for you. Is he one of those guys, or any players you think are going to make a big impact this year?
It's really hard to pick one player because it's hard to explain, but in practice we are having every guy, most all the guys are just on cue.
Sure.
I can't pick one or two out that I can tell you right now. They are just beyond surprising me because we have a whole team that is just playing very well, and it's exciting. Obviously, the thing is we are very deep. Very deep team this year. I could easily play 12 kids and be competitive. That's how deep we are, and it's exciting to have.
All right, so then you talk about that deep kind of team. Is that something you said you could play 12, but looking at the start of the season, is that going to be something as a coach you're kind of trying to sift through, like, all right, which is going to be my main 7, 8 guys that I want to really put out there?
That is a tough one. I really do feel we're going to be playing more in 7, 8 this year.
Okay.
I think we're deep enough where we're going to really throw. We want to play high pace. So between playing high pace, that means we want to use the numbers to be able to keep that high pace up. That's always the challenge of coach, because I have a bunch of great kids and all kids that deserve to get minutes and be at the varsity level, but we can only play so many kids, at the same time. So we will have to make a decision on a couple of kids that, are still going to be a part of the varsity group, but at that point might have to see some JV minutes, just to make sure that they're still working on their skills, getting ready for next year. But we want to definitely use as much as we can, to throw at the other team. We're not limiting ourselves of a certain number of players we're going to play. Whatever it takes to get the job done.
Sure. All right, and then let's look ahead to your first matchup here this season, early December, Waiwega Fremont. I guess how are you guys preparing for that matchup? What's your mindset, I guess, heading into that game? And we kind of talked about it a little bit, but what you're looking to see out of those guys in that first game?
Well, early in the season, it's really tough, to really scout any other teams because teams change every year. Yep. Kids leave, kids develop. So really right now we're trying to focus on us, just for us to be ready for the season. Make sure we have down what we need to accomplish. And then when it gets a little closer, we'll try to obviously take what we've seen from Waiwega as coach in the past and how they run and what we expect from them. They do have that 6'9" kid. I think he's about 6'9", and I'm assuming he's developed even from last year. So he's going to be a load with his height, and they also have the leading scorer back. So he's going to be a challenge. But we're up for it. I think we have multiple guys that we can throw at him, and to make sure he's got to work pretty hard to get his.
All right. Well, that's all I got for you, Coach, and I thank you again for doing this with us here today. So again, that was our Coach on the Couch interview.
I appreciate having us, and I always encourage everyone, come out to the games. The high school kids, they need support. It's great having the games on the screen as well. But if you're capable, get the stands. Oh yeah, we always say head to the arena or head to the gym first if you can, and if you can't make it, then watch our stream if you can. But yeah, again, Coach John Schurk, thanks for joining me at the Pacelli Cardinals, and good luck this season, and thanks for having us here today.